Groovy. Be right back.
Yeah.
I wonder if Moss will be here.
Hopefully.
All right. Well, it's not looking too good for Moss. And there he is. See, I made that happen.
Have this headphone on. Oh, what am I doing?
I know not. All right.
Hello.
Greetings.
Oh, that must mean you can hear me.
Maybe.
Say no.
No, I said maybe.
I heard you. It was out of character for you.
Because I'd already said no to Bill, and it just,
Yeah.
it's growing a little stale.
Yep. Well, guys, I think it's time for me to take a couple of months off.
Me too.
Yeah, me
Where do you
too.
want to go? Where do you want to go? Tahiti?
Tell your buddy with the trailer park that he should rent to me cheap so I can get there before you buy it.
Oh, you know what? I haven't even talked to him since.
I mean, Indiana is not as nice a place to live as Eastern Tennessee, but we need a better place to live.
Socks.
Socks.
Yeah, I ordered socks from China.
I got new slippers.
Oh, not bad. Not bad.
They look like real American things, but they're not any animal in this whatever.
I will
Made in
give
China,
those
of course.
a try. I just wanted to see, I can't keep socks in this house, so I might as well
Ah,
get them as cheap as possible.
I have too damn many socks, but I wear the white cotton ones, or they're mostly
Wow.
cotton.
I rarely wear anything that's white.
Well, I have had skin conditions on my feet and hands, and they said the only thing to do is wear white cotton. And yep, whenever I wear nylon socks, they break out. It's not because of the nylon, it's because of the lack of breathability. Absorbability. What you putting together there, Joe?
Well, this is an 18650 battery holder that I got for extremely cheap,
Uh-huh.
also from China. That I figured I'd give a try, as I get spare 18650 batteries. Since it's
Uh,
not individual charging, I have to be careful.
is 18650 a special size, or is it just
It's,
another name for our normal size?
You know what?
those are 18650.
Oh,
I have a bunch of them.
look like double A's to me.
No, they're much larger
Oh, okay.
than double A's. The 14500s are the exact same size as double A's, but where a double A is like 1.2 volts,
Should be 1.5, yeah.
1.5, whatever. These are 3.7 volt, but will go up to like 4.2.
Yeah,
So don't
I've
put
had
them in something that
I've had a couple of vapor things that had short fat batteries.
yeah, those are interesting batteries too. Um, like the ones that are in them that are wired, they are interesting, and I have some for projects, but I haven't used them yet. I'm gonna have to design everything around it. So
I've got so much junk in here now.
You know what Cinnamon needs is a do not disturb button for the notifications. I don't know why we don't have that yet.
this is supposed to be a 120 watt charger. Feels a little light, but I'm willing to give it a try. Oh,
Having most of my devices be USB-C for charging has greatly simplified my life.
it
Oh,
does make things a whole lot easier. I will grant that.
The fact that it will automatically sort of negotiate the highest voltage, I love that. Where it's like I have a high power or the wattage, I guess. Same as you. I think it's like 120, something like that from my laptop. And I can use it for my phone, for my headphones, for anything I've got. And yeah. Good stuff.
Sad news.
Yes.
Link from the Linux Link Tech Show passed away.
Oh.
He hasn't been on the show much in the last couple of years, but he is the guy that, helped start it, so.
I don't remember if I don't know if I know that show or not.
The Linux Link Tech Show?
Yeah.
You know one of the hosts.
No, I know, but I mean, listening to it, I'm trying to remember. I think I have listened to it a little bit, but it was just because I don't. It's one of those ones where I feel like if you don't know the hosts, you don't get as much out of it.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just Dan, Joel, Dave Yates, and me most of the time. Although Flying Rich was on this last week.
Huh, I'm finding my favorite pipes, but I'm not finding batteries.
These
Oh, there's one.
they sent me the wrong ones. These assholes. These were supposed to be USB-C and they're micro.
Huh. Here's the batteries in my vapor pipes. Little chunky thing.
Oh, I'm not sure on which model battery that is, but they're probably the 4.2 or 4.1 rated.
It says Oak 18350, 900 milliampere hours, 3.7 volts, E4022.
Yeah, so 3.7, but they go up to 4.1 or 4.2.
Oh, okay.
These
So-
were supposed to be USB-C and they're micro. I already have micro.
That's the
Boo.
worst one.
It is the worst one. Did anyone like that standard?
No.
What, micro
I've used
USB?
these for so long I can't even remember. I had to look to find them.
Oh,
A
those
lot
are
of the
cool.
devices I
Pipe
had, I had several
Got a whole
phones
bunch
where
of
that
them here.
I had several phones where that plug would go bad.
Oh yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
why.
it breaks really easy. I have a lot of devices that use micro still, like these headphones here, a bunch of other ones. But I'm trying to get as much as possible over to USB-C. It used to be that I had to get micro to USB-C adapters. Now I have to get USB-C to micro adapters in order to be able to power these things. And I just needed some chargers to help fix batteries and stuff, or to power batteries that used USB-C, but they came in fucking micro.
Mm.
Ooh.
So this little game console, Joe,
Which one?
the R36S,
Yeah.
is no longer booting. It is saying, let's see, I can't really see it without my booting failed. Check kernel and DTB images.
Sounds like you got a hard drive problem, and since that's probably stuck on the board.
No, it's got a micro SD in one side for the OS
Hold
and
on.
another one.
Hi, Eric. I didn't say that yet.
It's got two of them.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Hi, Moss.
That's okay.
It's got two. One on one side, 128 gig on one side for the games, and then let's see.
Oh, so it does specifically have a micro SD for the operating system.
Yeah, it's got a 32 on the other side for the operating system. So in theory,
Well,
I ought to be able to flash this with something, right?
or get another one and flash that with the correct operating system. Because most likely it went bad.
Yeah.
Pull them both, turn it on, see what happens.
Yeah, I had to figure out where the battery went in those pipes. It actually goes in the bowl. I haven't gotten those out for 10 years, I think. But it probably could stand some cleaning up.
Mm-hmm.
I know I haven't used them while my wife was here, and that's been 8 years.
That's annoying, though. This is what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Except USB-C.
It's nothing.
But
Just black
if
screen.
you're ordering from China, you might as well toss in some other things on the order to keep the shipping down.
Mm.
I'll have to order them again. Double check, make sure I actually ordered USB-C.
Well, if you did, you should get a refund then.
Well, they might be willing to offer me a refund if I ship it back, which would cost more than it originally cost to ship to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so what are we doing besides me bugging out for a while? Now, if you get down to where there's only one host, give me a call and I'll see if I can make time for you. But that will not happen the first week of January.
I think the three of us are going to be discussing Docker
Mm-hmm.
for the next show.
We got to figure out a way to make that interesting to
Fuck them.
anybody.
I find it interesting.
I do
Somebody else
too,
will find
but
it
I think
interesting too.
I think using DistroBox is a more
Look,
sort of down to earth example. I mean, we can also talk about obviously the server side of things, but I think showing that they're starting to use Docker and
starting.
what's the Red Hat version?
Docker's been used on the desktop since the very beginning, and I'm quite willing to talk about that or any other, system like that.
What's the Red Hat
Containerization.
alternative?
I'm not sure.
Computer?
Yeah.
No, the containerization. Shit. I hate when I do this. I can't remember.
Podman.
Podman, thank you.
Kubernetes
Yes.
kind of is used to control.
Yeah, no, I meant Podman. So Podman's kind of, it's an interesting alternative because it has many fewer technical requirements or sort of restrictions that Docker make it difficult to run. You don't need to have root access. You don't need. There's something about the way. I don't know. I can't remember the comparison sheet that I saw, like why Podman is easier to deal with. But anyway, yeah. So just the idea of like containerization. So I think the way that I would frame it is most people understand a virtual machine. The idea that you're basically taking a physical computer and replicating those functions as a virtual, approximation. And then you kind of say, okay, instead of a container being a complete system where you're emulating all of the different pieces of hardware, you essentially are just emulating the operating system component of that, where you're like,
Do you want to talk about like C spaces as well?
Nah, I mean, we can if it's important. I mean, if it doesn't really explain any of I think we should just sort of keep it basic. The idea of like, why would anyone give a shit? And you just kind of say, well, because a lot of times if you go to look at software, especially things that they might be self-hosting as like a server side thing, you're going to most likely see a Docker or Podman option available. And you think, okay, well, why are they publishing it that way? Why is it interesting? And then you kind of can say, well, it's a way to...
Really. Well, ease of setting up.
Sure, and of maintaining it sort of ongoing as well. The idea that you can just sort of like, it's portable, it's reproducible, it's all of those sort of in the pros side of the argument, and then we bring up some of the cons where it's just sometimes way more complicated to do than just literally either having a virtual machine or a physical machine. It's also that complexity doesn't necessarily...
bare bones is a lot easier than Docker.
Exactly.
Or at least it used to be. I haven't messed with Docker that much in a while.
I mean, the problem I have with sort of DevOps as a philosophy, if you want to call it that, is that like a lot of things in technology, it becomes a black and white proposition. If you're a DevOps minded person, then you see everything as being a DevOps problem and not like, well, maybe it doesn't make sense that we use Docker in this situation because it would introduce a lot of complexity and unneeded, just difficulty in maintaining it and managing it, having other people understand, that's not, this sort of evangelization of like, no, everything has to be containerized. Everything has to be Docker. Whenever that's been my problem with it, is that I've found in many cases, like it just made it unnecessarily complicated for no benefit, really. All of those cons of like, the deployment aspect, the reproducibility, all of those things. None of it makes sense if you're like running it on one system. So anyway, I think the three of us can have an intelligent conversation to just at least introduce people to the concept and like where they're likely to run into it, and then why it might be an advantage for them to spend a little time, understanding it. That's my take. Also, I like the changes in Mint 22.1. I like the rounder sort of buttons and the UI elements.
Well, I'll wait to see what they look like in Mate.
Mate. You going to use Mate?
Mate.
Okay, mate.
It's not from Australia. It's
Nice.
from Brazil. Come on.
It's the best desktop out there, mate.
It's your mate. Oh, goodness.
I haven't heard anyone talking about Mint XFCE for the longest time.
I've heard people talking about it being better than Ubuntu, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that comes down to the Mint experience where you're giving them that sort of onboarding. You're going a little further with customization and I think usability personally, because, you install Ubuntu and I mean, unless you have a fetish for old school hardware, like I don't know anyone who loads that desktop and is like, wow, this is, this
Graybird,
is exactly what I was
yay,
looking for.
Graybird.
I love that everything's this small. Yay.
I feel like it's meant to be, you download it like this, we give you what you need to get graphical, and then you put what you want on top of it to,
I guess. Yeah.
I suppose. Whereas the flagship version is probably meant to be downloaded and used as is, no questions asked. In fact,
I just have never.
You don't.
It's amazing how I have tried and pretty much used every desktop environment, but I have never enjoyed using XFCE. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's. I don't like how the administrative aspect of it is like everything is so individualized and granular, even though I know that's the Unix way. Like I understand why it's architected the way it is and why it behaves the way it does, but I don't know. I've never, I guess I don't like Thunar. Yeah, I guess I'm not, I guess Linux Lite is probably the closest I've ever come to enjoying XFCE. And I guess
Linux Lite's
Mint's
not bad, but it
Manjaro.
looks so flat. It's like there is no. I know nothing really is three-dimensional on your screen, but it looks flatter than anything else.
That's
it's
true.
Really easy
Yeah,
to use.
They do have a very sort of flat. You're right. Yeah, Manjaro. I wish I could go back to when Manjaro, within the first few years, I felt like the theming touches and the changes they made to the distro itself were a very sort of minimal, sane approach. And I still feel like their flagship ones are like that. When you get off into Cinnamon, you get off into XFC, or not XFC, you get off into some of the other ones, and like they just go too far. Like the GNOME version, there's just so much crap.
You're getting with those they consider those community additions, and you're getting somebody's very opinionated, put together thing,
Yeah.
And
which I think is a mistake. I mean, I get that it's community and I get that it's an expression of someone's creativity or opinion or whatever, but like I just feel like there's so much stuff in there. It's so complicated. And good Lord, if you don't like teal, you're in trouble.
I see.
I'm sorry, I was lost there. What you're talking about now, Eric?
Manjaro.
Oh, yeah.
Manjaro.
I haven't used Manjaro for the
Easy
longest
Spatry.
time.
Remember Spatchery's Cup of Linux? God, I miss that. I miss the old shows.
Yeah.
What was it? Nick.
We are the old shows. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
well, okay, yeah, that's true.
Older.
I mean, like
older
Nixie
shows.
Pixel with OS Alt and those shows that really were kind of what got me excited about Linux in the mid 2000s, 2010s.
That was before
I guess.
people chased what the algorithm wanted them to
Wearing,
do.
wearing my rollerblader T-shirt.
Hey,
Hard Knocks rollerblade.
gosh, I haven't went rollerblading in years. That used to be my thing.
Me too. man.
This is roller
Spent
derby.
a lot of money on that. ABEX
Knocks roller
7
derby.
bearings and
I was the first kid in town that had rollerblades.
I never
when they
have
were-
had rollerblades.
I was
I
like,
had roller skates. I had the
I say I
boot
was like
type, and
13.
I had the boot type and I had the clip-on type.
Oh, the clip-on type were deadly. You had to be on flat ground, and yeah, no, it.
I learned real fast that if you're gonna rollerblade outdoors, you need softer wheels because,
And the
Pavement,
softer
yeah.
wheels wear out faster.
well, that's true. But you put hard wheels and then you run into a twig. That's gonna be the last thing you do that day. That's gonna end your day quick.
Yeah,
Well, I think we just decided where we're going out to breakfast after this show.
I didn't realize Tennessee was 5 hours behind Indiana.
Tennessee isn't. I am. I've been telling people I'm on Hawaii local time for years.
We went.
I did work yesterday. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Especially since the teacher I was subbing for walked into the room a couple of times.
I worked yesterday and it was not fun.
Mm.
19 degrees, Michigan.
Well, yeah. We cold enough indoors, yeah.
We're actually
What
getting.
you got, Joe? Charger.
Ooh, it's yellow.
Must
Just
be
wait for
from
the boom.
Mississippi.
wait for the boom,
What are we getting ready to get here?
the smoke.
Yeah, the magic smoke from my phone.
Oh, well, that's better than from your computer.
No, man, USB-C does it all.
Yeah, but this is a charger from China.
Oh,
Ooh.
Mm.
has the magic.
It's
Actually, USB-C
definitely-
standard is it working?
It's working, but it's
should
definitely
say that
not
it's-
putting out fast charging, and it should be.
It's not negotiating it. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not putting out. It can't put it out. It just might mean that it's not negotiating it properly.
I bought a cord and plugged it in my truck, a new one, so I could use fast charging. And I learned that it's actually got one of them is fast charging, and the other one's got something called super fast charging.
Yeah, that's
And
what I
that-
was using a minute ago was super fast charging.
That scared me, so I
And-
unplugged it.
This won't do it.
Yeah.
This 120 watt PD charger
You know, I
is
thought
not
about that.
coming up as PD on this device, although it will say PD when it's hooked up to my other charger.
Okay, so what's PD stand for?
Power distribution.
Oh, okay, that was anticlimactic.
Well, I've been working on a special project. Ken McConnell gave me his newest book that he had been working on for 30 years, and he thought he had it polished and ready to go. And I've been reading it. I'm about 52% through it, and you can't believe the typos I found. He was starting to get ready to throw things at me. He thought he had it all ready to go.
Oh,
I'm
crap.
through chapter 14 now. And
We got a bunch of
Yeah.
comments that we're not responding to here.
oh, we do?
Yeah,
So it's supposed to say PD. You probably can't see it there.
yeah. The one I've got
It's a little
says
out of focus, but yeah.
the one I've got says PD, and that's the one that gives me super fast charging.
But this is definitely not doing PD.
Did you try turning it off?
So
It
what's
back
our
on again?
comments, guys?
Comments where? On YouTube?
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, okay. So Lee Mitchell, been using Mint as my daily driver on my desktop for 3 years now. Love it. Cool.
Yeah,
And
great.
Lee Mitchell commented Kubernetes. It must have
It's
been
my
during.
second favorite distro, and I use it when I absolutely have to get stuff done.
I agree with that. I use Mint on my desktops where I need it to just work and get out of my way.
That's the thing.
Yep.
Yep.
Actually, Debody has been getting good enough. It's still in beta 3, Debody 7, that I am using it now, and I haven't always been able to use Bodhi on this show. So it's getting better. But if anything went wrong, I'd flip right over to Mint.
Inferno 224 says greetings Mint folks.
Greetings, Inferno.
Yeah, I'm a Ubuntu guy, but just switched and loving it. Yeah, anybody that's used to Ubuntu
Free yourself from the tyranny of Snap.
I have no problem with snaps outside of the fact that they a lot of them have been left to languish. And
Speaking of, I noticed that GNOME Foundation spun off FlatHub. It is now its own product.
Oh.
I think the only issue that most people have with Snap is the way that Ubuntu implemented it, or Canonical implemented it, and don't tell you which one you're installing or give you the option to choose between a Snap and a Deb. If the Deb's available, they're just like, it's installed now.
The other problem with it is the proprietary back end.
Yeah.
You have to stop thinking of Canonical as one of us. Canonical is a company, and they feel their imperative is more towards their customers, and their customers are demanding.
The people that pay them keep the lights on.
Yeah.
As opposed to Bodhi, that is currently being developed on my old T540P.
Very community-oriented distribution. Very, you're going to have a lot better chance of being one-on-one with the developers of something like Bodhi. You, to some extent, you've got the same sort of experience with Mint, but we're always thankful for the fact that Canonical provides us a good, in spite of the choices they make, it's still a good base for something like Mint,
We really only have 3 functioning team members on Bodhi. The one guy does the ISOs, another guy does the works on Moksha, and another guy works on the theming.
Do you have anybody who's non-functioning?
Me.
That was your
a member of the team.
That was easy.
That was my alley-oop for you. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm technically a member of the team, and they accept me as such, but I don't do anything. I originally joined to help with the documentation, and I've only even opened the GitHub a couple of times in my life.
Well, I mean, how aggressive is their development? Because it would be interesting to have like a Bodhi corner or a Debody corner on mintCast, because you don't hear a lot about these distributions these days, and that could be.
Well, it's not very aggressive. For instance, Bodhi Legacy 6 and 7 are still in beta. Debody 7 is still in beta, although it's beta 3, and it works just fine on this computer.
Now, these are Debian based, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that
the legacy ones are Debian based because they're 32-bit. Ubuntu doesn't have 32-bit anymore.
Right. Are they only 32-bit?
Multi-lab. So this is a bit of an offshoot, but you were just talking about communicating with developers. So I've been explaining to my wife, I set up F-Droid on her phone and have pulled in several replacements for things that she had been using that were just riddled with like ads and like garbageware, that the Play Store is just a nightmare with the absolute junk that's in there.
Yeah.
Even if the program works, I just assume that they're like the worst people in the world, who have like just the, or I don't know. Anyway, so F-Droid, giving the ability to get these open source projects, and I was saying to her, I forget what it was specifically. It was something around like, we still listen to a lot of internet radio, if you can believe that. Like, I'm trying to think of the standard shoutcast, like type radio and stuff. Believe it or not, that all still is out there in the world if you haven't listened to it in recent memory. But we listen to like old radio programs or just stuff you can't get anywhere else. But anyway, so she was saying something about, oh, I don't like how this, functions or something. I said, well, the nice thing about using an open source product or project is that you can go and actually talk to the developers. And I'm like, I've actually done this many, many times where I'll have an idea and just go to their development page. And, I'm not using terms like GitHub and stuff because she doesn't know what any of that means. But, just saying go to their site and you leave a comment and just kind of say like, hey, I use your stuff and it's great, but it would be nice if it would do
or their
this.
Discord server.
Yeah, and it's the number of times that I've had a positive interaction, just saying hello and thank you for doing it, but then also making a suggestion and then seeing that thing show up is really cool. And she's like, "Wow, you mean you can actually just talk to the people who are making?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's that's the beauty. One of the really cool things about open source is you have that communication, and also a lot of times an open source developer has thought of the things that they've thought of and they're using it a certain way, but when someone else comes along and they have a different use case or they think of a different idea, when they get that kind of feedback, it gives them a direction or an idea to try something different, and they appreciate that not only are people actually using their software but putting thought into it. And she was like, wow, that's really cool. So got her thinking about something that she would have never thought about otherwise. So
it kind of puts you in the pipeline. It puts the user in the pipeline. You become part of what makes this a better thing to use, and it's not something
definitely.
Most people are used to thinking about. They're used to, well, if I want to use this thing, I just got to put up with what's available to me,
That might be a really good innards, honestly, to just like talk about how you can different ways of like getting to the projects. And most projects, if they have a website or a social media presence, they're going to point you to where they're publishing the code and developing stuff, and the ability to give feedback, and maybe even like to Moss's point, even if you're not going, you can contribute by simply giving ideas or testing, or you can be involved in different ways. And I think maybe, and this isn't stuff that hasn't been talked about before, but I think it would be maybe a good idea to just talk about maybe different times that we've had those interactions. Or
I would dearly love to do a Bodhi Corner, even if I had to phone it in.
Okay,
I don't have a problem with that. Shoot.
Right now, Bodhi 7 is official, but that's Ubuntu based, and it's 2204 based. We haven't even started working on Bodhi 8.2404. We're trying to get some of the 64 bits caught up and done, since last 32-bit was actually Ubuntu based on 1804. That's Bodhi 5 legacy. We've got a 6 legacy and a 7 legacy, both in beta. They're probably going to skip 6 altogether and try and get 7 whipped into shape. But we're all based on, 7 is based on Bullseye and 2204. And they're really considering just moving it all to Debian and say screw Ubuntu.
Yeah, it's not a terrible strategy.
With this small of a team, you got to get something done,
Yeah, no, it's not a terrible idea to base things on the furthest upstream, which is further up from Ubuntu is Debian, and I think that's
Debian's usability has grown so much in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
I think also if your development is, I don't want to say slow, but if you're not constantly updating things on your end, then Debian is probably a better way to handle it anyway, just because it's a lot less to keep up with. You can count on the goalposts not being moved on you quite so often.
Well, for the longest time, Moksha itself has been talked about a fork of E17 but it's become a lot more than a fork of E17. They've backported a lot of the E22 stuff, anything that can be backported. Haven't started working on Wayland integration yet, but they've added a number of things to Moksha that aren't in E22 or 25. And I think Stefan is doing a wonderful job with Moksha. It is just the most responsive thing out there. And like they said when they came out with E17 in the first place, they call it the original eye candy window manager.
I've always been surprised at how, I mean, it's something to learn all over again because it is different. But, there's a lot of things out there that are different. But how feature-rich Moksha and I guess to some extent E17 and that are, while at the same time being very, very lightweight, almost comparable to XFCE and Mate to that regard.
Let's see here. I am currently running nothing except you guys. What's my... Oh, do I have NeoFetch installed? Or Fast Fetch? I don't have NeoFetch.
Fast Fetch is the way to go
I don't have
nowadays.
Fast Fetch installed. Oh, I typed it wrong too. Oh. Well, what else can I use here, guys? What's the basic command that NeoFetch was forked from?
Screen fetch.
Brain not working. What is included in my thing that I can look up my memory?
Oh, free M or top.
Inxi, INXI, is that there?
Free M not found.
Free space
INXI?
tac M.
Yeah, use I.
Yeah, my bad.
INXI says I am currently using 1370 and a half. But that's with you guys running Discord and all.
Yeah.
Free space tac M.
Free space tac M. See, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. Right now I've got 1340 used.
Yikes! I'm using.
You can do MH if you want, and then it'll give it to you in gigabytes if you're lazy like me.
I'm using 8 out of 32 gigs of RAM.
I'm using 17 out of 32.
Now, don't forget though,
17.
Linux
I'm
does.
using 1.3 out of 16. So.
That's pretty good.
Don't forget that Linux does that handles memory management differently. Just the fact that it's using the memory doesn't mean that it's out of memory.
No,
because it'll grab memory and hold it, and that's part of the way that it. It used to freak me out whenever I started using Linux because. Do you remember those programs in Windows that would flush your memory?
like
and I had one that ran in my tray. I can't remember what the hell it was called.
Oh, CE Cleaner or
No, it's CC Cleaner. This was way before that. This is XP days, where it was literally like a little utility that ran in your tray, and it would just clear your active RAM.
Yeah,
and it would stomp all over applications. You had to be you had to be really careful about which you had to like blacklist certain apps because if you didn't, it would like crash the system. But it was the only way I had to for certain games because at that point in time, memory management was huge because there just wasn't there was so little memory available.
Megs of RAM, 512. I remember my machine I had when I was in school had 512 megs. Boy, was I a hot shot with that bad
When
boy.
I install Bodhi and I don't cut back on anything and I haven't loaded anything yet, I'm usually around 340 megabytes. I know people that cut out things that I use, and you can cut it back to where it's only 100 megabytes if you really know what you're doing and want to run that lean. And so
Oh my God. I just searched for something for Windows XP and I got a result from Major Geeks. Do you remember that site?
Yes.
I remember Major Geeks.
Wow.
Is it still out there?
I used to get stuff from them.
Yes, it is. MajorGeeks.com is still online. Holy cow.
Well, Two Cows is still online.
That is bananas. I cannot. I used to go to this site constantly.
Remember getting your shareware from Two Cows?
Oh, yeah. Two Cows was awesome.
Well, they not only are still online, they still have a majority ownership of Ting.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. I just switched away from Ting earlier this year.
Bear
I'm
Share is
using
still
Ting.
online.
Yeah,
they sold a lot of Ting to Dish Network, but they still maintain the management of it, and they provide some services for Dish Network. And when I call in for tech support, I'm still getting someone in Toronto that speaks really real English. So helpful.
My gosh.
They're so
I'm going
helpful.
to talk about
my wife
making
calls to complain about the strangest stuff, and they always give her some money to put on our account. And it's just, I don't know how they make money if there's people like my wife calling in all the time.
Yeah, there's this whole category of memory optimizer, RAM boost, WinRAM turbo. I used to use something like that, and it would flush out your memory, and and if you didn't do it right, it would completely bork your system. I had all kinds of stuff like that.
Those were think the fun about days of Windows when you could bork your system.
Well,
instead of the
whenever
system borking itself.
Well, if you put in the effort, you could get a system that would run like literally multiples time, 4 or 5 times faster than it came by default. Like if you put in the effort of defragmenting your hard drive and memory management and startup, tweaking your startup to make sure nothing started that you didn't want, and services managers and oh my goodness, I put so much time into that.
Power ISO.
I was still running Windows
64-bit.
3.11 when Windows 98 came out. I did not want to move. Everyone was writing viruses for Windows, and they weren't writing them for Windows 3. They were writing them for the Windows 95 and 98.
Well, Microsoft Visual Studio 2010 Ultimate. I'm on CNET. Windows 12. Well,
I went to a bookstore a couple weeks ago, and I was looking at the Linux magazines, and there really wasn't anything that they were too expensive in the first place, and in the second place, they didn't cover enough in there that I would want to buy it, even if they weren't too expensive. It's all layout and dumb it down and don't talk about anything. Linux format was a major disappointment.
Wow, sorry to put us back on a nostalgia kick
no,
here, but
it's fun sometimes.
I saw Major Geeks, and I was just like, I'm still flabbergasted that this site is up.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's anything.
Yeah, I got shunted over there a few months ago for something I was looking up.
Where?
Major Geeks.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay.
It must be fine because Pi-hole's not blocking it, so. Smart
Win
defrag.
files. Wow.
So, guys, if you really, really need a host, give me a buzz. But I'm going to be probably out till early February.
Okay, good. That's good to take a mental health break and
I agree.
Enjoy your life. I'm going on vacation for Christmas.
This is the worst time of the year to take it for the purposes of the show, because it's hard to get anyone with all the holidays and everything, everyone having their families to plan for. It's really hard to get hosts up for the show. But
well, I think taking a break for the show's sake, or letting the show take a break for the holidays, is probably not a bad idea as well, because
the
last couple of years we did drop the Christmas show.
You know what? I don't know. It's going to be on the 22nd. Do we leave the 22nd or the 23rd? I'm not sure for vacation. We may leave the 22nd, so I may not be.
I'm not going to be here the 29th. So,
Yeah,
I
I
may
won't
have
be here the
difficulties on
29th.
the 22nd.
oh yeah, it's 22nd. Okay.
Yeah, we may not be able to do it. And just say sorry.
Why don't we
Sorry.
just go
Done
ahead
it
and
before.
let's go ahead and draw
We
that
have a
line right
history.
now and say we'll
Show on the 22nd.
well, let's break until after New Year.
Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to do 29th either, frankly.
Well, the first
So if
show
we
in
did
the new
maybe
year,
the
I'm going to
5th?
be in Atlanta, so
That'll be the 5th. Will be the next episode.
Yeah, why don't we do it
so
on the 5th? Yeah.
I'm going to be in Atlanta singing my guts
gives
out.
us more time to put together our exciting Docker episode. Ooh. You're not going to want to miss it, folks.
Don't sing your guts out, Moss.
Well,
Sounds very painful.
It can be, but actually the worst part of my fingers is I hardly ever pick up a guitar to practice. And calluses are necessary to be playing for hours at a time.
No doubt. No doubt.
But I'll be taking Carlos and Lenore with me. That's my two main guitars. Huh. I might have to take Lee with me to see if anyone wants to take her off my hands.
Yeah, kind of
What do
hard
you
to
got
sell
your
it if you
gain
don't
sitting
have
at
it.
right now, Moss?
My gain, I'm leaning back for one thing, but my gain's pretty high. It's about almost 4 o'clock.
Use a bit low. Sitting
Okay,
here.
well, it's been the same. I haven't touched it in months.
Well, it sucks that you have to lean forward in order to be heard, though. I still say you ought to get one of those stand microphone holders, so that way you can relax and talk.
Well, I have a stand microphone holder, but that would put the microphone farther from me.
No, I mean one that you can stand it next to you, and it'd be an arm that.
Oh, you mean floor stand?
Yeah.
Haven't thought of that.
No,
I could also probably
find a
move
way
my...
find a way to attach your microphone to your chair. That way, it's always relative to your head.
I don't know.
I'm not
Actually, get
joking.
you one of them hats with a thing that comes down from your forehead. Like
No. The mic would be so heavy the hat would be falling off all the time, and my head would be...
well, then we got to put a counterweight on the back of your head.
Yeah, right. Let's all make my head uncomfortable. That's right.
It'll
More weight on
strengthen
my
your
head,
neck.
That's what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my neck already has enough problems from ankylosing spondylitis, so I don't want to do anything like that.
Just attach it to the side of your chair.
Yeah, I'm wondering if my knee or arm could attach to the side of my chair. Or the base of my chair, maybe. Stick it on the lower arm of my chair where it attaches to the seat.
You would have to
there
duct
should
tape
be-
two of them together.
Well, on the back of your chair, I don't know if there's hardware there.
No.
No, it's just all leather.
Well,
There's got to be
something
some
that
wood there
might
somewhere.
Apparently look like leather.
We can find a way to attach it to your chair and then just have it come around and be right there.
It'll make it a lot harder for me to grease this thing because it gets squeaky from time to time. I notice it's squeaking now.
You'd have all that sound transferring through the arm
Oh yeah.
into the microphone.
Anyhow, we'll think about these things further. Spending money on tech is not something my wife is excited about.
I was talking about a 3D printed solution.
Hey! Watch this space.
But I might be able to find one of those floor mic stands at a thrift store.
We'll
never
figure
know.
something out for you.
I usually see them there.
Like one where you can set it maybe a foot and a half away, and then it's got a long arm that that way you can keep it off camera if you wanted. And
Well, if I moved the kneeler up to the side here, that might be in the way of some other things. It's attached to the back of my little computer desk here, and if I moved it to a different location, that might bring it closer.
mine, I've got a
move
bolted
the other
down
side
thing.
over here.
We'll just modify your headphones. That way the mic can just slide right into the side of it. And, like that.
No. I like my mic. It's a good mic. It's not the best mic, but it's the best mic
You-
I could afford, and I didn't
You'd
even
be still
pay for it.
using the same mic. It'd just be attached to your headphones.
Who do we have joining us now?
My mic is a very, very, very fine mic.
That's not anybody I
My
know unless
brother's-
they change their icon.
Brother's name is Mike. Penguin KNT. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong.
Penguink NT.
Penguinet.
Winte.
And
But he should talk and tell us how to say it.
yes, turn your microphone on so we can learn to pronounce your name.
I got on everywhere, Reddit and Facebook and everything, and told everybody to come over and join us on Discord.
Yeah, I even got on Tech and Coffee and told everyone, and they just said, "Oh, enjoy yourself."
In other words, fuck off.
Yeah, basically.
They don't say that. They're nice people at Tech and Coffee. If you're not on Tech and Coffee, it's a Telegram group. They also have other things that they try to mesh in, but Telegram works best.
I wish I could get into Telegram. I just don't.
Yeah, well, see, it's really my major group on Telegram. I even started. I moved my discussions with my wife off Telegram and onto Signal. I'm also talking to Ken McConnell on Signal. Oh, went away.
We get a lot of those. People jump on and then they, nah, never mind. Jump right back off. I'm not sure if
People, come join us. We're here. It's
Some-
nice that you're watching us on YouTube. Why didn't you come get in the conversation?
one of you guys is scaring everybody away.
That's me. We know it.
It's Joe's beard, yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta figure out a way to get. I mean, I don't know that we do a good enough job. Of course, I've said this before. I'm not sure we do a good enough job letting everybody know that this is supposed to be for the community, for the mintCast
Yeah,
community.
we announced that we're having Roundtable, but we don't tell anyone what Roundtable is.
Yeah, maybe we should do a little bit more of that. The fact that it's Discord, I mean, it has to be something. I don't know that Discord.
Kind of hard that it's Saturday afternoon, so I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are kind of doing stuff whether they want to or not. You know, this is
Yeah.
People
like
have
me.
lives.
Like me, I'm
Kind
getting
of.
ready for breakfast.
honeydew, time.
Mm-hmm. That being said, I better get to it, unless anybody's got anything else.
My wife, we've been taking my wife's car to a different shop, and we heard that they were one of the best shops in town, et cetera, except they were a little on the expensive side. She was driving down the road, and her wheel almost came off. They did not completely attach the lug nuts on the wheel. So we're not going back to that shop, thank you.
Yeah, I have to draw the line there. Sorry.
That's probably.
We got super lucky. I feel like we got lucky because if anytime you find a mechanic you can trust, it's like you won the lottery. But this guy is great. He he warranties everything. So my wife had her brakes replaced, and brakes have this little arm that stick out, and it's just there so that as the pad wears down, it will make a
squealer.
sound, and then yeah. So it was the adjustment was wrong or something, and so it kept squeaking. She'd take it in, and no charge. They would just fix it, move it again, and she brought it back like 4 times, and they finally were like, okay, the thing just must not be. It's just broken or something. So we'll replace it. Replaced it for free. So, we paid one time to have this fixed, and she's been back, no lie, like 5 times. And every time they're just like, and we keep expecting to be like, okay, well, how much is it? And they're like, nothing, just go, you're good. So yeah, we've done tires and brakes and different stuff. And it's nice to know that you have that kind of a support from a garage, that they treat you that way.
We have a really good mechanic. He's a little bit below market on his charges. He always does it as quickly as he can, but he keeps the car until he's got the parts to fix it, and that's a negative for us. But the main negative is he doesn't call and say what he's going to do. And legally he's supposed to do that. The only way we find out what
Absolutely.
he's going to charge us is when he's all done.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't abide by that. I would be upset by that.
But he does great work, and he's friendly, and he does, yeah, like I say, he's below market in his charges. You never can argue with what he's charging you for what he winds up doing, and he always fixes the problem, whether it's what we brought it in there for or not. But we can't get him to call us and say, "Hey, I need to do this."
Yeah, I had that happen to me one time, and it was for multiple thousands of dollars, and I was like livid because the car wasn't even really worth it, and I just was like, look, I wouldn't have done all that. Oh well, we didn't. I'm like, no, you don't tell me you didn't know. Like that's standard practice. You don't just do a bunch of work.
There are a number of shops in this town. You take it in, and they look for things to fix. And
oh yeah, well, I mean, I get that.
In one case, they even lied to me about something that didn't need fixing. I had a car that the front suspension actually, when it was on the ground, the suspension fit up into a cone structure, and when it was up in the air, it wobbled a bit since it was out of the cone. And they tried to tell me I needed to get new suspension on it. I'm going, no. You're just trying to charge me money for something I don't need, yeah. But yeah, some of the ones in town are actually they require the mechanics to look for things that need fixing, whether they do or not.
Well, and I don't have a problem with the mechanic looking over the vehicle and spotting something that could be a problem. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stuff that
fixing it and charging me before telling me though.
No. That's something completely different. But the idea that they're observant and would see something that's a problem, that I appreciate. But so if they were to, but then call and say like, hey, we noticed that your CV boot or something is leaking grease, or I don't know, whatever the issue is. But you know, like, be upfront. Yeah, no, the not calling is unacceptable, completely unacceptable. And I honestly think
apparently we have decided to go ahead and stick with them because they've done the best work for us and the lowest price.
See if you can find someone that warranties their work, though, because I'm telling you, that is such a pleasure to just have someone like, well, you know, we did the work, and because a lot of times too, like a part will be faulty, and it's nobody's fault, right? They put in some poorly made aftermarket.
That is a huge reality. We've got that in our shop. I worked for
O'Reilly for about a year, or for more than a year actually, and they literally their parts warehouse was literally throwing used parts into the box and selling them as new.
Oh God!
Not all the time, but often enough. And you don't open it to check. You just say, okay, this box came into stock. We got a guy that ordered it. We take it out there, and you lose customers that way pretty fast.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes what happens there is they'll sell the part at an endpoint, and the person that purchased it will do a swap and then take their old one, put it back in the box, and take it back and do it as a return. And then the return doesn't get checked; it just gets put back in the bin and then gets sold. It happens.
Well, it was happening
with
way too
electronics
often
all the
at
time.
O'Reilly. So,
well, what is it? What is it that charges the plug?
The charger.
No. It's the part that builds up the charge to
the module.
Transformer.
No, capacitor? I'm trying to think. And you replace them along like shit. I'm trying
ignition
to think. Anyway.
module.
No, it's the
cap. It's the freaking cap.
I said
because you do plugs, wire, and cap all at the same time.
No. It's
no.
Anyway,
no.
Capacitors.
It's all right. So on the BMW that I had, like they tried to use aftermarket parts, and basically they replaced all 6 of them, and slowly over a period of like a 2 months or so, each one of them failed again.
You mean
and so after
coils?
Thank you, ignition
coils.
Yes.
Yeah,
after 4 months and replacing 3 of them or something, they were just like, that's it. We're just going to pull them all and replace them all with the OEM parts. And they're like, we would have used the OEM parts, but we didn't have them. Like they literally couldn't even get them. So they had to use Chinese. And he said, I knew they were going to fail, but we didn't have a choice. And I'm like, well, gee, thanks. So anyway, yeah, parts apparently can be really difficult to get parts, let alone, the right parts and stuff. So
Well, kids, I got to get out of here. So
yeah.
All right,
You
I
too.
gotta go get
thanks
breakfast.
thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you after the holiday, I guess.
We are going to Lim Dynasty Asia Cafe, which there are only
Ooh.
3 of them in the world, and 2 of them are in Knoxville, and one of them is way out in Kingsport.
That makes me hungry for Chinese food.
They have everything, not just Chinese.
A lot of the places do. They put something for everybody.
But they've got the best pho in the world. I mean, just and it's a huge bowl. We usually have to take half of it home.
All right, guys. Take care, George. Take it easy.
We'll see ya.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Later.